Hi, Mark here, trust you're well. Welcome to this legacy recording of one of our live Lightroom support communities. This was recorded on the 7th of March 2022 and we were looking at Lightroom Classic version 11, but we were looking at the workflow of importing. Now, most Mondays I host a live Lightroom support community where for the first hour we look at a skill, and the second hour we look at your questions. How do I do this? Is there a better way of doing that? I'm stuck with this. I've got a problem. If you'd like to come and join us, just visit lightroommark.com and you'll see below the video lots of events coming up. They're all booked through Eventbrite and they're recorded. Going back to the recording, as I said, it was on 7th of March 2022. Technology's changed, the software's changed, but there may be something in there that in the workflow side of it that grabs your attention and speeds up your workflow to the field of photography sooner. So I hope you enjoy the recording, and if you like it, thumbs up. Got a question, leave it in the comments, subscribe to the channel, or I'd love you to come and join us in one of our live Lightroom events. Stay safe, take care, happy photography. Now recording. So importing, as I just said, changed the format slightly. I've added something in for those who just turned up. The first 45 to 60 minutes will be a task, an action or something like that. The 15 minutes or so after that, I'm going to really drill down on a particular task or an action that starts in Lightroom. It may end up in Photoshop, which will be the one next week we do, where Lightroom doesn't do what I'm going to show you. So really spend some time on a particular action or task. So I'm going to do that every week. So you'll have a core part of it will be Lightroom. Then we may do something tonight. It's in Lightroom. 3 ways of doing the same action and the reasons why. And then next week, we're going to go into Photoshop and I'm going to show you how to do some things in Photoshop that you may like. And then we'll come back to your Lightroom random questions and answers. So each week, I'm going to build in some other apps, Photomatics, On One, Luminar, what's the one called? I can never remember it now. Affinity, that's the one I'm thinking of. Time lapse, all these type of things that they'll come from Lightroom. So you'll get a flavor of different things that we can do. So tonight we are looking at the import module. And I'm going to share the screen. And we're looking in Classic. Okay, so everyone see that now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in the library module in grid view. Bottom left-hand corner is import. Now, you should see a big dialog box there. That's only popped up because the last location that I imported from no longer exists. Okay, so I press OK. If you look down the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little arrow. And you can have a smaller import window, which normally is if you import the same way, this is how it would look. But if you want to customize it every time, you have the big import window, which is just clicking this arrow down here. Now, we'll go a bit through the interface. Left-hand side is where your images are coming from. So if they're on a hard drive, if they're on a chip, if they're in a camera. Okay, so this is source down on the left. You do have a click on select source. This is a little menu. So it's or a memory. So recents. So places that you've been to regularly. Let's say here we go here. This is a SD card in an SD card reader. So if I click there, it would just go straight off to that location. Okay, so once you've done it once, it will stay in this location and you just keep clicking on it and you can clear the recent paths, as it's called, path, okay? This box down at the bottom includes subfolders. It used to be up here. Is if I clicked here, it would, oh, and that was, there it is there. If I tick there, it's only looking in this folder. Okay, you can hit in the middle, include subfolders, or tick here, or tick down here. And anything underneath in this tree structure, anything in there will then appear. Okay, so it's multiples of folders. Great if you're going to do that off hard drives. Okay, so the window in the middle is the images that you're going to import. You can look at all images or new images, okay? And I will show you the reason what's the difference between new and all, because there's another tick box to go on. You can change the size of the thumbnails. If you look down the middle window down the bottom, you can do the slider, just like in the grid view, and you can see them bigger. You can go into loop view mode and see it as a whole low res image. Okay, now the tick box, this is the active image that's grayed out. That's the same as in the gallery module, or grid module, sorry, in library. The tick is what's being imported. Okay, can you see this little tick top left-hand corner? Mm-hmm. Okay, so those are the files that are being imported. Okay, now the top menu, 12 o'clock, this is the important bit. And you'll get into a particular type of import, okay, depending on what you're doing. So if you are someone like me that is converted from my photography camera manufacturer, so Nikon, I convert all my images to DNG. Now, DNG is digital negative, and it's Adobe's format for a raw file. Adobe 5-6 years ago brought out their own format for raw, so everything's in the same order. When I say order, all the things like color space and all the coding about images are all in the same order. If you think about it, you've got all these different manufacturers doing different software for different cameras, for different lenses, and all the coding's all over the place. So I, for a while, kept copies of everything in NEF file, which is the Nikon format. Canon is CR2 and so on. And I tried it out. They are slightly smaller in file size, no difference in resolution or anything. So I copy as a DNG. Another reason is Nikon, Adobe says they'll always support DNG. They might not support a manufacturer's legacy file format. So, for example, Nikon did NRW, which was their original mirrorless camera. There may be a point, because it hasn't been made for 5-6 years, Adobe may no longer support that file format. Okay, so at the moment, I'm going to copy the images in this folder or below as DNGs to this location that's on the right. Okay, I'm going to go through this side on the right in a minute. But I could just copy the files. I could just move the files, which I don't recommend, or I could just add the files. Okay, moving the files will physically take them from left side to the right side. But if you get a power cut or your disk drive, hard drive unmounts, you'll have a corrupted image, which is why I never say move. What I say is copy, and then once they've copied, you're happy they've copied, go to your original source, and if it's in a camera, put the chip back in the camera and format it, or just delete them off the drive. If you've got a hard drive that you just want to add to Lightroom, so you've got an external hard drive, all you do is you click on add, They don't move, they don't do anything. They stay on the drive exactly as they just add them to the catalog. Okay, and that's what add does. Okay, it doesn't move them, doesn't do anything else. It just literally references, creates the link in the catalog, and the drive appears in the grid view in library, and that's it. But if you want to move them in raw format as a DNG or as a copy, so those are the two. So you want to copy them, add them, those are the two. You keep them in your, if you're a Canon shooter or a Fuji shooter or whatever, keep them in the file format you want to keep them in, or convert them to DNG. So that's that. Okay, so we've got these images here, in here, and I'm now going to put them in a particular location on the right-hand side. This is what they're going to, if you want to say, move across the screen. They're moving from the chip to my drive. And when I move them, this is what's going to happen to them during the moving, because it's not just importing. You can do lots of things to your images. Okay, so it's multitasking basically. If you went out, and these are old Exmoor Pony images of mine shot years and years ago. Some of them are what, 7 years old, 9 years old. Some of them are. You can convert them, rename them, keyword them, add descriptions, all as you move them, and put them in the cloud at the same time. So this is where using Lightroom over Photoshop and so on is so much quicker. So I've selected these 10 images. I'm going to copy them to their new pictures. Okay, they're not in the catalog, so I took them out. And what do I want to do with them as I bring them into Lightroom? So file handling them. Now, last week we talked about the size of the preview. And the preview is what we're seeing on the screen here. This is a preview in the grid view. It's a preview, it's a JPEG preview that Lightroom makes, okay? And you can set this up in the catalog settings. And now I have mine as standard. I have a 4K monitor. So mine are 5,000 pixels across at 100%. The negative side of that is they're quite large. It takes a little while to build them on import. But the positive side is when I go through the grid view and I'm culling them, I'm picking them and rejecting them, I'm sorting them out, I don't have to wait for the screen to render. They're there immediately. But my drive is a 96 terabyte hard drive. Okay, takes up a lot of space, some RAM as well. But the workflow is so much quicker for me. And then when you delete the ones that you don't want, that preview disappears. So it's only a temporary thing for the images that you don't want. Now, that's a preview, okay? Now, there's such a thing called a smart preview. And that's for people that have an environment, they're using a laptop, for example, and they have an external drive, where you want to unplug your drive, but have a raw file with you without having the original file. And that's what a smart preview is. It makes about a 2 megabyte file, good enough for a 10:8 print, and you don't have the original file with you. Now, obviously, when you import them, it's going to build a smart preview and a preview. Takes a little bit of time, only a few seconds. You can untick it and say, don't want that smart preview, don't need it, because I'm working on a desktop computer. I've always got that drive with me. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a laptop and you take the laptop with you, but you leave an external hard drive behind, you might want to, on import, create a smart preview. And next week, when we go through the grid view in library, I will show you how to remove, either automatically or manually, or create previews and smart previews. You just press a button and it does it all for you. Now, remember I said all photos and new photos. You can have Lightroom not import duplicates. So if you had all photos, it would import all of them. But if you put new photos in conjunction with this tick box, if Lightroom looks at the metadata, what camera, serial number, time, lens, date, GPS, all this information it looks at and says it's already in the catalogue. If it's an identical one, it may even be, you know, you've taken 14 frames a second. So the timestamp is still the same, but the actuation number, the file name is 1+. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14. So that will be different. So still import them. But if everything is identical, it won't import it. You've already got it in there. Okay? So that's where the new and the all comes in. Now, let's say you were very conscientious and this was your job like me and so on. And in the olden days, you would keep 2 copies of everything or more. You might have a local hard drive via USB 3, FireWire in the old days, and you might have a network drive as well. It could be a remote drive. It could be something in another room or in your garage or something like that. And on import, if you look at the next box down, it says make a second copy. So you could say, right, okay, well, I'm in my study room or whatever I'm in, but I've got a network drive or a drive that I take with me. When I leave the building, I take that drive with me all the time. I unplug it and I walk out the door with it. Well, on import, I could tell it to make a second copy. And it copies that file. I don't do an extra thing. I just tick that box, tell it where that file is going to go. It does it all for me. Okay. So there's those boxes there. The next one down, to me, is really important in my workflow, and that is add to collection. And the reason why is when I import them, I add them to a collection, and that collection is in the cloud. And the reason why is I might import these in my study room, in my new office, in my study room, or whatever it is, and so on. And this machine's on near enough 24/7. And I'll walk home, I'll pick my iPad up, and because they've synced in the cloud, I've got the collection of images on my iPad. So I can then go through on my iPad, pick in front of the TV at 8 o'clock at night, I'm bored or whatever, and just go through and just go pick and reject and actually cull the images. So if I took, let's say I went out on this, one of my Exmoor Pony workshops, and I took 500 images, I get back to the office, I wipe my camera all down, I put that in the safe, I import all the images, I tick the box, they go in the cloud, pick my iPad up, and I walk home. By the time I've got home, they've all been renamed, they've all been converted to DNG, they've all gone up into the cloud, and I sit down with a glass of wine and in Lightroom, and I just swipe the finger up and down. Yes, I like that one. No, I don't. Yes, I do. And it all talks back to Classic for me. So that's how so you tick the box, and then you add it to a collection. You call it a collection. You sync it with the cloud. So bearing in mind, once you've set this up, it's really simple to just do this. File renaming. If you have a file renaming system, which I do, let's see if I've got it, if I can show you a bigger version. No, I can't. Let's do it this way. Okay, you can see here, can you see my underneath this image here? You can see it says MSP. Can you read that? 2015 01 02 12 46 31 DS3 D3S 9629 DNG. That's that. Because a photograph is a moment in time, that file name will never ever be duplicated. And the reason why, MSP, that's the copyright holder, me. The first part is the date, 2015, 0102. So that was taken on the 2nd of January, 2015. Now, why do I do it that way round? Well, the reason why is because the way database searches, they search from the right. And they do that with telephone numbers as well. And if you eliminate the first digit from the right, you eliminate all the other, in this case, nine digits. So it'll be 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because that's a 2. So it stops looking for the other numbers. Okay, so I put a date in my file name. The next, there I put a space to make it aesthetically pleasing. The next section is the time. This was taken at 12, 46 and 31 seconds. So I know from that file name when that was taken, that image. But because it's a moment in time, it can't be reproduced. And then the last set of numbers is I've got set up in my camera. So the first 3 characters, DS3, was actually the camera it was taken with. That was a Nikon D3S. And this one was actuation number 9629. So on that day, it might have been the first or second time round the numbering, because it only goes up to 9,999, then it starts again. But on that day, that was my shutter actuation. And the next, even if I took 10 images within a second, this bit would be the same, but this number at the end will be different. And that will be a unique number. Okay, so I could never have a duplicate image with the same file name. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, I've got under file renaming, you tick the box, and you have different templates. Okay, so next week we will look at how to create a template for file renaming. And whatever the file name is, it'll rename it as the template. Okay. So, and you can see here, this is an example that it will give you. So, and it does this automatically. So once you've understood what you want, it'll do that for you. During import, now this is really important. Keywords or presets. And again, we'll have 2 weeks of looking at this. You can create presets. So if I come here, let's have a look, X more ponies, that's my preset. And it'll put in appropriate information. It's a memory, okay? So the appropriate keywords, the appropriate title, the appropriate description for generic images of X more ponies. So 90% of my metadata is already being done for me. Okay? Once you've got this set up and thought about it, this is a 10-second operation. And if I've got 1,500 images for a day, it does it all in, let's say, 10 minutes. All 1,500 images are description, title, IPTC data, so all your copyright information, location if you want that, and just planning a little bit ahead, all sorted. So, Julia, what do you photograph? Is she with us still?
Sorry, I was just taking myself off mute.
Okay. Yeah.
Landscape mainly.
Landscape. Okay, so you might have, you go back to the same landscape regularly?
No, not really.
No. So no. You don't go back to the Lake District or whatever, or just do unique ones each time?
There's certain places I do go back, I suppose, regularly, as in like seasonal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tend to go to different places.
Okay, so you could have a geolocation type. So, for example, the Lake District, Windermere, Lake Windermere, something like that, and you would have all the keywords already in this preset. Or perhaps you might have something as flowing water or architecture or seascapes, something like that, or a forest you might have, and you'd have all the keywords and a generic description in each one of those. You might have a sunrise, a sunset one. So you might have taken 50 images and it will keyword them automatically for you, and description and so on generically. And then the images that you want to edit, you just go and you're going to sell them or whatever. You then go back in and just modify those bits. And there's lots of ways of doing that, quite automated. The drop down above it is develop settings. So that is, you might want to make all these black and white. So you can select a preset, a develop preset. So black and white, landscape, and these will all import as black and white for you. Okay. You might have a preset that you like a particular type of photograph, a particular way. You can select that preset and it will apply it automatically to the images. You can take it back in the history, but there we go. So keywording, and then you have the location where you want it to go. So this is going to go into March 7th there. And this is the folder within the drive. So I'm going to copy them to, actually I'm going to move them on this point. I'm going to move them into this location. Now, up the top here, you can have, it's by organization. Now, Tony knows the answer to this question. What's unique about these images is the timestamp. And I file my images by content, by narrative, but then by date. So I've got a folder that says Exmoor Ponies, and then underneath that it goes with year and date. So I can see how, you know, people come to me and say, Mark, I want a brand new image that's never been published of an Exmoor pony. Well, I can easily find that. Okay, because a lot of mine are in date, everything's in date order, and you can import them into date folders. So as you can see here, I've got date format. It goes, creates a folder of the year, then creates another folder underneath that, year, month, day, and it organizes them by date. So as you can see, this is what it's proposing. 2013, it's going to create a subfolder 2013. So this is where it says LRM, Lightroom Monday, 7th of March, that's today. That would normally say Exmoor Ponies. Then it's going to put a 2013, and then it'll put 3 images in a folder that I took on that particular day. Then it's going to create another folder, 2015, and this was actually taken, there were 7 images taken on the 2nd of the 1st, 2015. Lightroom does all this automatically. You just need to set this up how you want it set up. And once you've done it once, you don't change it at all. So there's a couple of new things that are out in Lightroom 11. These buttons down here. You used to just have cancel and import. Now you've got done. And done will save everything as it is. So if I click done, it will go back and it won't import anything, but it will save everything, all the drop downs, all the things that I've asked it to do, it saves it. So why would you use that? Well, I used to be a sports photographer, and I would have things set up the day before I went to photograph the event. And the reason why is minutes would, the news desks wanted the images ASAP. And you might miss, oh, that editorial story is already gone because somebody else has got the picture in before you. So things like setting up the collections, things like setting up my presets. So let's just go quickly into here, metadata presets. So this is your presets here. We'll look at this, Exmoor Ponies. So I've got all my keywords down here. I've got my copyright information here. I've got some basic information, Exmoor Ponies. I've got some content information here. I would have all this saved up as a preset. Okay, even down to if I was photographing rugby, which I used to at Twickenham, I've done that several times, I would come into the address side of it. So let's just have a look. Content, copyright, creator, and there we go. So there's my information, my phone number and everything and so on. And there is the information of where the image was taken. So I'd put in there Twickenham rugby ground and all the information, and I would save that as a preset. So all the information that the news agency wanted was there automatically. And I'd set this all up before I got to the venue, before I did the wedding, before I went out and photographed Exmoor ponies or churches or birds. You know, Sue, you do a lot of birds. So I would have one for robins. I would have one for seagulls. I would have one for mallard ducks. I'd have one for swans, where it was already preset that I could just, you know, I'd spend that little bit of homework in setting up the keywords, setting up generic descriptions, that when I imported those images, I would use a preset, and that's it, they're done. But if they're already in Lightroom, you can apply this preset to them already. Okay? So the done would be you'd set it all up, press done, and then turn your computer off. And that meant when you got to your desk in the media room, for me, you set all up, you're ready to run, you go and take your photographs, it's wirelessly beams back, auto imports, and you've got all the information already there. Then you just say, that's the shot, whoever it is, whatever it is, and so on. You just type that little bit of information in there, press publish, it goes to your publishing house, and it's taking you 30 seconds to do that because everything's been automated. Where the bloke next to you is doing the same thing, but having to type everything in, it's taking him 15 minutes to just do one image because he's working harder, not smarter. Okay, does that concept get you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, Exmoor ponies, I'm going to move them in this. Oh, what's happened here? That's wrong. Okay, so there's the images, and I'm going to move them in this case because they're not important, and I'm going to move them this location. And then to import them, all you do is you hit import. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'm going to standard preview, don't want to make a copy, I'm not going to do this, not going to do that, and I'm going to, during import, Exmoor ponies, hit import. And it's as simple as that. And there we go. And you can see the top left-hand corner, this is what's actually happening. So it's now building smart previews, and that's it done. But if I click on this image and then I'll open up the metadata, look, all this information's here already. So if I go to EXIF, there you go, there's all the information, Exmoor ponies, the location, and if I go to keywords, there's all the keywords. I haven't done anything, because I've sat down a little bit beforehand, thought about it, and it's done it. Okay, so your content, think about it in presets. Now, this image here, I might want to add new keywords to it, and you can do that just by typing them in there, or you can use keyword sets. Okay, and that's what my workshop's all about, is actually going the next step in actually creating better keywords for individual images and how to do that, gathering them up and hierarchical and so on. So, but that is importing images. Okay. Now, if this was gone to a collection, this now would have synced to the cloud and been on my iPad or my phone, and I could then just cull them up, slide up and down, or pick and reject, and it would all sync back to this. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Any questions about that?
Can that be done? You're doing this in class in Lightroom.
Yeah.
Is that the same as doing it in Classic?
This is Classic. In Lightroom, slightly different. From memory, there's no presets in Lightroom. Let's just have a quick look.
I thought you were doing it in Lightroom at this
No,
time.
this is Classic. I'm
So
doing
it
this
is
in.
Classic. Okay.
This is Classic. In Lightroom, there's no presets.
Yeah. Fine.
So you can add a batch, but then you've got to type the images in there. At the moment, that's because I use Lightroom in a slightly different way to I use Classic. I use it. I say Lightroom is a companion to Classic. Okay, so I will use Lightroom on the road to just get some images out quickly, and then I will then adjust it in Classic. I do virtually everything in Classic.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so everything I just showed you, Tony, well, that was Classic. Okay.
Classic.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you one thing. You've got some images now in Lightroom. Okay, historic images. All right, and if you go under metadata preset, this is your presets. So if I go to Exmoor Ponies, this is all the presets. This is all the information. There's all my keywords. If I wanted to apply that to an image that's already in there, okay, so let's just go and choose another image. Any image will do. What's there? Let's go there. So this image here, okay. If I go to metadata, it's got nothing in there. Okay.
Yeah.
I click on the drop down. I'm in IPTC. I'm in drop down. Go to Exmoor Ponies. It's now populated it. And there's the keywords. So because I've got a preset already in there, I can apply it to images that I've already got in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So by my tree structure that I have here, okay, I will have, so let me see if I can show you in Finder. So if I go into my external drive, and if I go into that one, okay, so there's Classic. So I've got a folder structure. So let's go here. This is all my top level folder structure. This is how it sees in Lightroom. So go to Travel, UK. See, now I've got some images out there, so I'll need to have a look at that. England. There's the places, because travel is normally geographic. Somerset, Exmoor. So I'm drilling down into locations. Now I've got down here wildlife, Exmoor Ponies. There's all my folders, all my years of all my Exmoor Pony images. Okay, all the dates that I took images of Exmoor Ponies that I've kept. I've culled a lot of these. Okay, so if I click here, there's the images. Okay. All right, these are the raw images outside of Lightroom. So you can see I'm drilling down into these images. These are the raw images that are unedited. Okay, so this is how this appears. It's in Lightroom. This is how it appears. So if I select in Lightroom that folder there, it will show all the pictures underneath. So I'll just show you in Lightroom. Imagine this says Exmoor Ponies. It's got 238 images in it. I click there. There's all the images. Okay. Right. It would say Exmoor Ponies. Okay. So if I now go Command A and select all, I can apply that preset to all the images. So I can, all of those, I can keyword them just like that. Okay. Because the way I have my folder structure. Okay, because I put them into narratives. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So any questions about that? That's basic importing, my basic import workflow. Okay. So in a couple of weeks' time, I've got a keywording workshop, a Zoom one, which will go, it's about 4 hours, we go through that. But I go through keywording and how to generate keywords and how to apply it and so on. I'll go into this a lot more detail. Okay?
Yep.
Anyone got any questions about it?
No.
No? Okay, so we'll go on then to my task for tonight, which is vignetting. So I'm going to give you 3 different ways to vignette and 3 different reasons why you can vignette and 3 different purposes of vignetting, okay? Does everyone know what a vignette is?
Mm.
Yeah? When it makes the corners darker or lighter? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, right. So why do we do vignetting? Does anyone?
To make something look old, like vintage.
No, it actually.
You can do if it's a sepia and something like that. Yeah, it's a stylization.
Yeah.
The eye looks at red, brightest, and in focus item, and if you've got something darker, your eye's being driven to the brighter part of the image. So it's to put your focus on a particular thing. Okay, so right. So let's go share screen, and I'm going to import some images. He says to import vignetting. So I've got 4 images, and I'm just going to take that off there. And destination will be tonight. And if I want to create a new folder, I'm going to go. I've clicked here, but I want to create a new folder. Go right click, create new folder. Up will come either Finder or Explorer. You go new folder, and I just type in Vin for quickness. There we go. I've created a new folder. Press choose, and there we go. There's the new folder in Lightroom. Okay, and it's going to put those images in that folder. So I'm now just going to go import, and it will go to the destination, and there we go. There's the images imported. And it's done everything for me. Okay. There they all are, everything for me. So the first vignetting's in the develop module. The first thing I'm going to do is explain 2 different types of vignette. And they are the standard vignettes. Okay. So the first one is under lens correction. And it's under the manual, lens correction, under manual, and we have vignetting. Okay, and can you see? Let's see if I can do that. Can you see the vignetting in the corners of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I turn it black and white, no, it's not going to do that. So if I go back to there, you could. If I go, can you see the corners? If you look at the corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. In the lens profile vignetting, it's a little bit subtler, but it is vignetting the sensor. Okay? It's vignetting what was taken, not your post-processing. Okay? The traditional way under effects, it's called post-crop vignetting. Okay, I'm going to show you the difference. So at the moment, it's the same. It's doing the corners, okay? But what I'm going to now do is I'm going to crop somewhere, oops. There, okay? I'm in the middle of the image and I've cropped it. Now, if I use post-crop vignette, post, something after, it does the 4 corners, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. If I go back to the lens correction and vignette, it only does the outside. If you see, look at top right and bottom right, it hasn't vignetted it. But if you look at the left, it has, because it's on the corner of the image, on the sensor. Okay, it's not in the middle, because I've cropped the sensor. Have I explained that?
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
The one under lens correction does the whole sensor. It's cropping the sensor, and it's designed for lenses taking. There's also another, you can make corners brighter and so on, which is another night. But it's designed to, when you apply the profile of your lens, okay, you can see that went brighter. It's designed to work with the lens. So it's vignetting the corners of the lens. And when you crop it, you're no longer, you're like taking the picture in the middle of the sensor, in the middle of the lens, which is why they call it post-crop vignetting. Okay, so they're the two, that's the differences. One is here, okay, and the other one, which you normally use, is here in post-crop. So now we're going to go on to post-cropping. Okay, so let's use this image. Okay, so D. Okay, so we have different styles of post-cropping. Highlight priority protects the highlights. Color, it looks at colors to put the vignette, and then painterly, literally is painting black onto it, basically all white. Okay, 99 times out of 100, you use highlight priority, so it's going to protect the highlights. Amount, go to the left, goes darker. Go to the right, it goes lighter, white. That was an American style. White works on some images. It's a matter of taste. I very rarely use white. Midpoint, so I do this. Can you see where the middle starts? Okay. So it's making the vignette bigger or smaller. Okay, so it's how far from the middle it goes. That's the midpoint. Okay, and if I go to the next one, which is roundness, you see it's going slightly square now.
Yep.
Yeah, one is more oval, the other one's. But if you look, they're all proportional to the image. Okay. And I've got it on midpoint right down to the bottom so you can see it. So roundness is making it more round and square with round corners. Or you can go the other way, it's made it more, but more egg shape, oval shape, but it's proportional. Okay, so you've got some control, but very little control. Okay, does everyone know what a feather is?
Yeah, that softens up the edges.
Yeah. Okay, so a 0 feather is a hard line. You can see that. And a 100 is really, really soft, graduates it out. So whatever you decide it to be, it graduates from the darkest to the lightest point. If you double click on any of the words, it resets them to 0. Okay? And then highlights, it protects the highlights of the image. Okay, so if you look at the top left-hand corner, or sorry, top right-hand corner, now look, it's protecting the highlights. Okay, so it's not so dark in the corners. Okay, so that's your vignetting. And a good vignetter will put a vignette on an image and you won't see it. It's so subtle. But this is like having an adjustable frame that you know, it's an algorithm. It works or whatever. And for some images, that doesn't work. Okay. So has everyone got that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here comes my favorite way of vignetting. Okay. Anyone got any clues? Any ideas? Who's going to steal the thunder?
No, you tell me.
Yeah.
That's what you're here for, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I use the radial filter.
Which?
Radial filter.
Right. Okay.
Okay, it's not a big secret. Yeah, a lot of people use it. So we go into the masking tool, we go to radial filter, and basically I can draw any shape that I want as a circle. Okay, can we all see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I can turn it. If I go to the handles on the corners, I can turn it. I can squash it. I can put this vignette anywhere I want. Now, the bit in the middle, that's not going to be adjusted. And the bit that goes between the circles, that's my feather. Okay? So I can stretch my feather in any direction, and I can go off the image if I want. So let's just get rid of that. Let's just see if I can move you over there. I can come off the image. If I really want to, I can stretch it. So I'm now, can you see I'm off the image now? I can stretch it any way I want. Now, here's my feather. Okay. I can adjust that and I can make it bigger. I can make it smaller. I can rotate, do anything I want now. Now, here's the beauty. I can now use all the developed settings within my vignette. So I don't need to just do dark, make it black and white, and I'm making the center darker. I can invert it. So it's now the outside's darker. Okay. I can go right click, duplicate. I've now made an exact copy. And now I'm going to flip it. I can now add saturation. Okay, and I'm now building. I'm going to slip between the first one. I'm going to come back. Okay, and now I'm creating a vignette how I want to. If I want to make the blacks a bit blacker, I'm going to go back to the second one, which is the inner one. I want to make it a bit brighter in the middle, and I'm switching between the two. So I'm using these vignettes, these filters. The ones that got a little circle on are the ones that are highlighted. So I want to bring that down a bit more. Going to flip back to the middle one. The other one, which is the middle bit, I've inverted it, and I want to make it a little bit brighter in the middle. Okay. Perhaps I want to open up my shadows, bring my highlights down a little bit. Bring a bit of contrast into the middle. Then I want to go back to the outer one. And actually, if I wanted to, the outer one, if I wanted to, I could actually turn it the other way. Okay. And have the vignette the different way. Okay. Go back. There's the center one. Okay. So what I'm applying now is this bit, this oval this way, left to right. Okay, I'm going to make the whites a bit whiter. Now I'm going to, my active one's the one with the little circle on it. And now I'll flip back to the first one. That's the outer one because it's inverted. And now I'm going to change the white balance slightly. I'm going to make it bluer. So now the outside is slightly bluer. Now I'm going to go back to the inside one. And I'm going to say, right, I want a bit more clarity in there. I'm going to go back to the outside one. And I'm going to make my vignette a bit darker. Okay. So I've used the radial filter to control different parts of the element of this vignette. Okay. And I've totally customized my vignettes. There's one. There's the other. Totally customized them. Now, if I wanted to, in addition to that, perhaps I wanted just to ring down the corners slightly. And there we go. I've put a post-crop vignette on top of that. But if I wanted to, I could go back, and this is the flexibility of it. If I wanted to, if I click on this one, which is now click on that one, which is the inside, and you can name them. Okay, you can see the mask. If I change the color of the mask, you can then see where it is and so on. Show overlay mask. There's the mask in green. So you have so many options of what you want to do with all these settings. If you want to change colors and change color. But here's the great thing. I can then go subtract, brush, and I'm on this middle one and say, right, I want to subtract from here. So I'm not going to do a very good job on here, but I can subtract. So now I've made him brighter because in the mask, I've added a brush. Okay. And if I don't like that, I can just go delete that bit. So, oh no, I want to delete that bit. Delete brush. There we go. I've just deleted it. So it's thinking outside the box. If you just double click on the mask, so that one is outside, I think. Okay. And then I click on that one. Okay. And there we go. That's inside. Okay. So you can do lots of things with the radial filter. Now, if I wanted to, I could add a linear gradient. And let's say I wanted this bit of the rock lighter. So something like that. Open up the shadows. So now it's totally customizable. Totally customizable. Right? By using the radial filters to create a vignette. Okay.
Okay.
That got you thinking? Yeah. Using that radial filter, creating a shape, and then not necessarily just applying dart. You could create multiple shapes and stack them, as in depth, but also stack them as in going through the image. So you could make that one part there and one part there, and actually stack them like that. And if you've got I tried to find a picture of a tree that I had a dark corner and I couldn't find one, where I created a radial vignette. You can use the brush to take it away. So that particular element, which is what I was showing you with that person, you brush in and you take that vignette away from that part of the image by using the take away, subtract on a brush in that overlay of that filter. So you're creating a custom mask, and you can do it in Photoshop, 3 seconds in Lightroom. Okay.
Could you save that as a sort of like a preset or something to add to another photo?
Don't think you could save the mask as a preset to take it. You could copy the mask and paste it on another image via the sync settings, but you can't save it like in Photoshop as a layer and load it in as a layer. But you could copy it. I could so okay, so we go G. So I'm going to sync those two images, sync settings, and I'm going to sync the masking, sync. Okay. And then I would need to update one. There you go. So there it is there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I could do it like that. Yes. So if you have multiple images very similar and you wanted the same effect on each of them, yes, but not like in Photoshop where you can save it as like a layer and a file and bring it in. Okay.
Yeah, but most pictures you work on, they would be very individual, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well,
and
you might,
they've got to be individual.
Yeah, yeah, but there may be an occasion you might have a model shoot or a wedding or something where you've burst of 6 or 7 images. They're all everything applied, so you sync them. Yes, so so you could do that. That's a quick answer, but I'll have a think again for you for next week. So there we go. So any questions about that? Deadly silence.
Yeah. It's got to sink in.
Flummoxed. Okay. So that's the new format, as in I showed you a bit of light, now I've showed you that. Now we go on to, it's 8 o'clock, questions and answers. Anyone got any problems? Anyone got any questions? Lightroom or Classic that you need help with?
About my brain, I've got trouble with that.
Right.
Remembering it all.
Yeah, I can help you with that, Bobby. That's called gin and tonic, darling.
Oh, no, not that. Don't like it. Maybe a Bacardi.
Okay, Bacardi then. Okay, similar thing. So anyone got any questions, any problems, anything they want shown?
Yeah, Mark, just going back to that import that you were doing.
Yeah.
Your photos were already there when you were copying them.
Yeah.
So in terms of actually importing new photos.
They were on my hard drive.
Okay.
They were already on my hard drive. That is just the physical location. So so when you go to import, move you out of the way. Okay, you go select source, so then you go and find them. So other source, and you'd go off and you'd find a chip or whatever and so on, and then highlight the folder, and there's all your images there.
Yeah, I've got to play around with that because I'm struggling to, I mean, I've only imported a few photos at the moment, but I'm struggling to find where all that's saved on my Mac.
Okay, so if you go there and
yeah,
you go, are they already on your computer, are they? Or
well, I've got a load of photos sort of saved on my sort of photo app on like Apple and on the Mac.
Okay.
And I've imported about 40 via Lightroom, but obviously I didn't want to import too many because I'd be using up my data.
Okay.
But
what, your storage space, not your data.
Yeah, sorry, my storage space, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's no problem because once you've imported them into Classic, you just delete them out and you're just recycling it. So you've just got a buffer of 20 gig.
So if I go to where you are on that screen that you're showing at the moment, so for example, I've got under my Macintosh thing, I've then got Lightroom, and then I've got a folder. Yeah. So I've then got a folder under Lightroom, which has got, which for example has got cruise on it.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's where like my imported cruise photos were, but I haven't got anything. I've got no photos found there at the moment.
Okay, well, we'll find some time when you're not working, and we'll do a quick Zoom, and I'll help you with that.
All right, lovely.
Okay, so
I'll have a play around.
They'll be under if they're on. Okay, so you need to have some form of structure of backing up and storing your images. So some idea. I suggest to most people you have an external hard drive, whatever type of hard drive it is, and all your pictures are on there. Now, first thing you have to do is make sure what happens if that drive, not if, but when it fails.
Yeah.
So you need to have some. So if you're an Amazon Prime customer, you can back them all up in the cloud for free. Okay. Yep. Amazon Photo. Something that I've been trialing quite recently. You can put I've got 800,000 images in there at the moment.
Can you show us how to do that at some point? Yeah,
we'll do that another night. Yeah, I've got in June. I've got a whole 2-3 weeks about the cloud for you all scheduled. If you're a Photo Club member, if you go after the Photo Club website, click on post processing, you'll see all the schedule. If you're not, go to lightroommark.com, click on support group, you'll see all the schedule of everything to the end of the year that's on there. So you need some sort of idea. So I say have an external drive and copy that drive somehow. So perhaps have a second drive, or use something like Backblaze or Amazon Photo or Dropbox or something where they're all in the cloud. And the reason why I say that is I don't want you to, but burgled, fire or whatever and so on. You need a second copy, leave it with your mum or whatever and so on, or auntie or whatever and so on, or have it in the cloud. And you can do it with Amazon Photo for free if you're a Prime customer. So I was asked the other day, and I think I'll quickly show you how to find missing photographs. And it's really simple. Okay, and it's only finding the ones that are missing. Okay, it doesn't go and find them, it just tells you what missing images there are. So you go to library, you come down, missing, find all missing photos. And Lightroom will look for all the missing pictures. And in my case, I haven't got any. And when it does find them, it will appear here in the catalogue. Okay, in this catalogue drop down. So if I, just for argument's sake, I'm going to click on this one, right click, show in Finder. I'm going to move that. You should never do anything out of Lightroom. Okay, so I'm just going to move that there. Now, in a second, can you see there's a little exclamation mark? Means it's missing. Okay, so I'm now going to go back to my folder structure. So it's disappeared. Go library, find missing photos, and there it is. There's a missing photo. And you'll now have missing photos 1. And you can click on them and they'll all come up here. And then what you have to do is click on here and go and locate it. Okay, and how you would go and locate it would be, you'd open up Finder, for example, and you'd physically go and look for it, but you could go into search and type 6281, which is the last digit, 6281, press return, and here's all my pictures of 6281, or all my files with 6, and the more information you give it, so 6281 JPEG, right, and that's not JPEG. Yeah, well, and it will search for the your whole Mac for 6281, isn't it? Yeah, 6281 JPEG, right? And it will go and find it. Okay, might take a little while, but it will go and find it for you, and you can select it in particular locations. Okay, to go and find it. Right, so that's how you do it. Now, if you've got folders, missing folders, right, so if you've got, this is highlighted out, so you've got a folder that's missing, you go right click, update folder location, and then that's the folder there, and it'll update all the images in that folder. So you don't have to do image by image by image by image. You can do it via the folder as well. Okay,
that's in Classic, not Lightroom, wasn't it?
Lightroom should never ever lose a photo because it's live in the cloud. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone got any questions? No.
Not this time, no.
No.
Not at the moment.
Straightforward. Complicated.
Oh, I just
Ellen
listened to the
smiling.
recording again.
I had a funny thing. I took some photos of the Flying Scotsman was coming. It went to Worcester Shrub Hill on Saturday, but I was taking some pictures at Worcestershire Parkway, and I noticed on some of the photos there's like a really pronounced sort of red and green either side of some uprights. Is it called defrigging or something? Or
Fringing, yeah.
Defringing. I was trying to get rid of it. I didn't know whether.
Okay, that's easy to do. Okay, so what we're talking about is difference in contrast. When you get that sharp difference in contrast, you get fringing, and you want to defringe. So it's in the and move that back. before I forget. Can't remember where I put it now. In there, show finder. When was that taken? When was that? Where was that? That was in 2011. Let me put that back so I don't forget. Right, so I dragged it back into where it should go. And if I go back to Lightroom and we wait a second or so, it should have found it. But anyway, right, so you want a defringing. Okay, so let's find an image. Okay, so what Helen's talking about is this edge round here. Because it's a high contrast edge, you get what they call fringing. It's normally green or a blue color. Okay, you get this fringe round here. Okay, so if you go into the develop module, under lens correction, we get defringing. Okay, it's under manual. So first thing I would do, Helen, is I'd turn on your lens profiling. Okay, and set your lens. So let's go back to G and let's see what the camera is on this one. Nothing on that one. Let's go there. Fuji by the looks of that. Oh no, that's a DJI, that one. That's a okay, so that's a drone shot. So will we have, yes, we have there, DJI. So we turn that on and immediately I can see this end is actually most of it's gone. Okay, there was a bit on there. That's mainly gone. Okay. Right, so if I now wanted to, I can, and actually it's adjusted this already for me. So I could click on the corner. Can you see it's gone, it goes colour, can you see the prepare has changed to a red now?
Yeah.
All right, and I'm now going to set the defring, there we go, so it's shot up to 13. Okay, now we've got purple defringing, and what you're doing is you're setting the amount, and you're just going to have a look. Right, and you're going to set the amount and you'll find it goes away. And there we go. It's gone away. Okay, that defringe, that halo that was round there is no longer there. Okay, so it's under lens correction manual. Go and click on the color that you're doing and then just adjust it and that'll be it. It's done. Okay.
I'll have a play around.
Yeah, it's always something I forget, that is. Yeah, you go back and look at it and go, oh, buddy, you know, and I put it up at the agency already and all the rest of it and so on. I should have done that. So, but yeah, so it's when there is a different in contrast. Normally architecture is a classic for that. So where
it was the windows, yeah.
Sorry?
It was the windows. It was like, you know.
Yeah.
It was.
And so it's a contrast in light, but also contrast in color. So you get opposite colors. All right. So you get that artifact. And also sometimes when you post-process too heavy, you're doing a grungy color scheme or something like that, you might get halo effect around it. And that's how you can use that to get rid of it.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Joe? She's sitting there. Well, you both working on the same worksheet, are you? You two down there? I found this one wonderful lady on TikTok, and she does this role play against each other about the employer and the employee. And I've scheduled a meeting for tomorrow. Oh, I'm on holiday tomorrow, was the reply from the employee. And, oh, you'll be able to join, won't you? I said, well, no, I'm on holiday tomorrow. I booked it a month ago. Yes, but it's really important. You need to be there. She said, well, okay, I will be there, but I'll be a bit late. well, what do you mean by being a bit late? Well, I'll be there Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And she does lots of this backwards and forwards. It's really good, really, really good. So, as in people employers taking the mickey, and she wants a fair day pay for a fair day work and things like that. But she just, she signs up with Toodaloo or something like that. Is the last comment? That's very good anyway. So any questions? Go on, you got up to another 15 minutes of my time, Joyce.
No, I'm going to email you with something that you sent me.
Okay.
You sent me an email. I'll respond via email.
Has that bracket come?
Yes, it has come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It's nearly on there.
Martin will
Either side of it.
Martin will do it for you.
Yeah.
Okay. No questions?
No questions.
No, thank you.
All right, recording will be up on the website tomorrow.
Okay,
Have
thank
a
you
great
very much.
evening.
Thank you.
And
Thank
see
you.
some of you on Wednesday. Take care. Have a great evening. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
God bless.